Chapter 3036 opens with a reflection on Camryn's character, highlighting her resilience and composure. Camryn has long been recognized as a symbol of strength and endurance, which makes Samira's baseless accusations even more egregious in the eyes of those present at the banquet. The guests perceive Samira's behavior as mean spirited and indicative of a tendency to fabricate stories, particularly as her outbursts stem from unrequited feelings for Callum. It becomes clear to everyone that Samira's jealousy over Callum, whom she secretly admired, was the catalyst for her slanderous remarks. However, despite her feelings, Samira had never made any public attempt to pursue Callum, making her sudden outburst all the more surprising to those who knew her. The realization that Samira's actions were driven by jealousy softens the anger of some, but it does not excuse her behavior. Mrs. Levine, recognizing the severity of her daughter's actions, takes a firm stance. After ensuring that Samira offers a sincere apology to Camryn, Mrs. Levine steps forward to address the gathered guests. She apologizes on behalf of her daughter, acknowledging that her daughter's comments were completely unfounded and born out of jealousy. She vows to discipline Samira and asks the guests not to spread the rumors further, warning them of the legal consequences of doing so. Her words serve as both an apology and a stern reminder to everyone about the dangers of gossip and the legal implications of spreading falsehoods. Following her public apology, Mrs. Levine and Samira bid farewell to Joel, the hostess of the banquet, and also offer apologies to the three York family wives who were present. The York wives, Rosella, Tanya, and Madison, remained silent, letting Mrs. Levine take responsibility for her daughter's actions. Joel, fulfilling her role as a host, has her butler escort the Levines out, maintaining decorum while subtly distancing herself from the incident. After the Levines leave, the three York wives turn their attention to Camryn, expressing concern for her well being. Camryn assures them that she is fine, explaining that her reaction, throwing wine at Samira, was out of anger. Rosella and Tanya, however, encourage her to be more assertive in the future, suggesting that she should have physically slapped Samira instead. Their comments reflect the York family's ethos. While they do not instigate conflicts, they also do not allow themselves to be victimized. Camryn, showing her characteristic grace, agrees with the advice, but also acknowledges the support she received during the confrontation. She specifically thanks Riley, who had poured the wine that Camryn used to douse Samira. Riley, who has a distant connection to Samira, downplays her involvement, stating that she would naturally defend any guest in her home who was being insulted. However, Camryn insists that Samira's words were not the result of drunkenness, but rather a deliberate act of malice, indicating that Samira had harbored ill intentions for some time. She then reflects on Mrs. Levine's character, noting that despite her sternness, Mrs. Levine is ultimately a good person who acted in her daughter's best interest. By scolding Samira and forcing her to apologize, Mrs. Levine was not only protecting the family's reputation, but also teaching her daughter a valuable lesson about the consequences of careless speech.